she did put on there.
Okay, we will, are here for our special board meeting, July 31st. We just finished an executive session and we are on action items.
Yes.
Are there any public comments on action items?
There are no public comments on action items. One thing to just remind the board on action item D, if you remember, it was on consent agenda in July with the Pepsi agreement. There were some questions on language. So we tabled the Pepsi agreement. So before we can vote on it, we'll need to bring it back off the table through Robert's rules and then vote on that.
So we just need a motion to take it off the table.
Yes.
A motion to take it off the table.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, it's off the table.
Thank you very much. On donations, just remember, reminder, this was that wording on sponsorships and donations. They are moving forward as a donation, not a sponsorship. So we're just accepting the donations to Webb Elementary School.
Are there any questions about that?
Move to accept the donations for Webb.
Second.
All those in favor signal by saying aye. Opposed? It passes. Next is the transportation routes, the bus routes for this coming school year.
There are no changes. Mr. Hoagland did present those to us in July. And so we are ready to ask for board approval on transportation route for 25-26.
Are we also approving the manual,
Yes, we are. Thank you very much.
driver manual?
Yes, we are.
I would move to approve the routes as presented and the bus driver manual that was presented.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. That passes. Item C, insurance rates.
Okay, you have before you proposed rates for November 1st, 2025 through October 31st, 2026. The district incurred a 3% increase across the board on healthcare premiums, and the rates before you are a combination of that 3% increase and also a 3% decrease in the district's percentage that we cover. So because of that, the employees will see an increase on the certified rates. The increases are anywhere between $18.27 to $56.80. On the support staff side, the increases are between $11.06 and $50.45. We thought that was a reasonable increase for this year, and I can answer any questions that you have.
These rates also were presented to FCTA, and the leadership team has approved these as well. So for open enrollment, which will begin in 2 weeks.
Any questions about that? Just need a motion.
A motion to approve the insurance rates.
Second. Okay, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that one passes. And then the Pepsi agreement.
That's me as well. We've had a committee looking at the exclusive contract with Pepsi for a few months now. We looked at different delivery options. With so many options out there now, we thought maybe we might be able to get away from the exclusive contracts. But that became more of a safety issue with delivery and stuff, so we kind of backed away from that. We ended up soliciting proposals from Pepsi, Coke, and Aramark. and we did tours of the building and gave them an equipment list, things like that. And this is both for vending and concessions. So unfortunately, Airmark didn't meet our June 30th deadline for the proposals, but we did receive proposals from Pepsi and Coke. Pepsi offered a lot lower pricing than Coke did, so that was one of the priorities of the committee. The other probably number one priority was ease of ordering, and Pepsi has a nice online ordering system that has been proven the last 5 years of their contract. So the committee unanimously is recommending that we move forward with a 5-year contract with Pepsi. And you've kind of got an executive summary on the different comparisons on pricing, rebates, percentage of sales, sponsorships, those kind of things. Any questions?
Looks good. Thank you for your work on that. With that being said, I'd make a motion to approve the Pepsi contract as presented.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. And then we'll move to discussion, the Bargersville Water Utility.
Thank you, President Nelson. A few months ago, we talked with Bargersville Town and Fire Department about water and utility needs in the Union Township area. So today they're here to talk more about that conversation. I see several members of the team that we initially talked with present, so I will turn it over to, who's talking first, gentlemen? Is it
Chief Funkhauser.
Chief Funkhauser? That's who I thought, but I wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
So Chief
I'll start.
Funkhauser is here. He's gonna give us a little bit of history and share information, and please introduce the rest of your team.
Yep, absolutely. I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name's Eric Funkhauser. I'm the fire chief at Bargersville Fire Department. Been there since 1999. So Bargersville is rapidly growing right now. So we're looking to expand and to build new stations and different things like that. So obviously we have some utility needs, and I think that there's some joint opportunities for us to work together. So I'll go ahead and let everybody else introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Jason Smith. I'm the Deputy Chief of Administration with Bargersville Fire.
Kevin Killinger, Bargersville Utilities Manager.
Dax Norton, Bargersville Town Manager. Tony Ankles with Strand Associates. We're an engineering firm that works with the town.
All right, back to me. Sorry. Obviously, when we started this project, so here's where it goes. We bought 4 acres a few years ago, or in the last 6 months down at Division Road 135. So we need to expand down into that area. So we provide coverage all the way down to State Road 44, all the way out to the Morgan County line. So right now, I still have areas that we're responding to that we have 15 to 17-minute response times. So putting a fire station down there cuts our response times down to 8 to 10 minutes. So with the growth that's coming and everything else, that helps us, be closer to Union, be closer to a lot of those areas down, down in the southern part of our district. So we're probably going to be building ballpark an $8 million station there on the southeast corner of Division of 135. So the one thing that we need for a project like that is obviously utilities. So, we're looking at how do we get water, how do we get sewer down there? So what you'll learn about me is I love partnerships, and I think working together with everybody, and that's what I've told Dr. Clendenning in the past. And we work with Center Grove schools on a lot of different projects. So to me, it's a way that people can work together and see how do we have common needs coming up. So I'll kind of kick it over to these guys to talk through some numbers and some projections and everything else. So the one thing that we definitely need is we need water, to a fire station for hydrants and obviously for drinking water and for our toilets and everything else that's there. So I asked them to kind of look at some numbers and then, talk about how do we get sewer or go on septic. We've had a lot of problems with septics at our fire stations over the years. So obviously a sewer line down in that area makes a lot of sense. So with the growth that's coming, and you guys are going to be experiencing it just like us here in Johnson County. I mean, obviously Union is, going to be a capacity at some point. So there's going to have to be some thought going forward of, how do you expand and how do you keep up with the growth and everything. So looking at that, partnering together, how do we work together to save the taxpayers money and to make sure that we're not all, paying too much. So I reached out to Dax and had a conversation. So Dax, you want to touch on a little bit of us all kind of partnering together? And
Yeah, sure. I too am, we can't do this without
strategic partnerships, especially with the two school corporations. But one of our goals is to expand industrial, predominantly industrial. There will be probably some housing opportunities expanded to the south as well. But to the south, towards this area, that will trigger the need for utilities as well. So when you and I talked, the school corporations has a need, the fire department has a need, town has a need, the utility has a need. There are lots of needs. And we thought this would be a good time to kick off, not asking for funding, we begin the process to talk about funding mechanisms and models later. There are many good creative ways to do this without putting too much of a huge burden on ratepayers or on us. So this is just the start of what's partnership look like, what funding mechanics are involved or could be involved, especially with what the state legislature's doing at this point with us. We were fully aware of that, and we've shifted our focus a little bit. But that's why we're here.
And obviously, we're driving the boat. I mean, I'll say that because we're ahead of we're trying to stay ahead of all the growth that's coming in. So talking with DAX and everything, we're looking at Division Road 135 for future growth. We're looking at I-69 and 144 for future growth. So, expanding current stations that we have, remodeling and building more stations as we're going forward. So that's what we're just trying to do, is to keep up with the explosive growth that's coming into the Bargersville area and here in Johnson County. So
now everybody's standing, so I'm standing. I'll cover kind of the logistics of the water section, and then Tony's going to cover the sanitary side of the house. So what we're proposing is a 12-inch water main would run south on 135, would run to the east to the fire station on Division Road, and then continue that 12-inch main to 400 West that would serve the school system. I understand there may be plans in the future to expand that site. I know fire flow is a big factor with building a new building, whether a school or commercial. The town does have a desire to expand their taxing for commercial south. So we're excited about an opportunity for the two taxing districts and the utilities to kind of work together on this. As Dax mentioned, we don't have the exact game plan of what that is, but I do know it takes time to get things in capital budgeting and taxing and so forth, and we all have limits that we have to follow. So today is to kind of give you a ballpark of what we're looking at. What you have in front of you is from Westler Engineering, so this is preliminary. There are 3 pages and the 4th page all in, so this would be construction, design, and possibly easement acquisition. That can go plus or minus either way on who we're dealing with on property owners. But roughly $4.2 million to bring water to that area. Again, that would be a 12-inch main, which would be great fire flow for that area, and will also improve a loop for our utility system for that main that comes down 400 that currently serves Union Elementary. And that's why I, as utilities, want to partner with this, because it helps us out too by creating that loop. So again, we're excited about being a partner with this and further this discussion. I'll have Tony, we can hand these out real fast.
Yeah, only got 4 or something.
4. We have 4, so we'll share.
I don't know.
Okay. And we'll cover what it'll take to get sanitary service to this area for the fire station. And then,
So yeah, you kind of have to share.
That's all right.
So, there's 4 sheets on this one. And what the Bargersville utilities had us look at was how to get sewer service to this area. And the easiest way to do that is to do it by what's called a low pressure sanitary sewer system. And that's where like each individual house or residence, whatever, has their own little pump station that pumps into a small diameter force main. If you notice on the first sheet there, we kind of start at Division Road and 135 where the fire station is going to be in this area. Bring it across Division Road to the west. We'll pick up the school and then head north on 400 West. And we'll continue going up 400 West to Providence until we tie into a force main that was just recently installed called a 2-cent force main. Comes from the 2-cent lift station. Bargersville Utilities, if you flip through that, you'll see that we're looking to pick up like any house or like in Providence, all the homes that are through there. We don't have a cost estimate yet. We're still kind of working on it, kind of tweaking the layout. I need to talk to Kevin a little bit more to make sure he's comfortable with what we've shown. This would provide sewer service both to the fire station and to the school, and then to any and all the homes that they wanted in between there, because it's a couple miles. to get there. The pipes range from 1.5 inches all the way up to 3 inch. That's why it's a low pressure, small diameter. So these pump stations would be what we call grinder pumps. It actually grinds up the sewage into small particles, so we don't have to have great big pipes. Kevin, anything?
One thing we can look at with this project, and of course we'll need to confirm with legal, is a lot of times developers will come in, put in the sanitary system, and they'll put a 15-year law payback on that. So anybody that connects into that over the next 15 years, the folks that help put it in will recoup some of those dollars. That's something we could get creative on, creating our own 3 units that will recoup as folks connect onto that. So that could be a potential payback option that we could look at in the future. Tony, how long do you think it'll take for us to get numbers on the sanitary side?
Probably a couple weeks. Just a couple weeks.
So I don't know what your timing is and what your schedule is for funding, if you so choose to fund this, but again, we want to keep this an open line of communication between all 3 of us and see how we can serve this area.
I'll add one more thing is in respect to Senate Bill 1, which is on all of our minds. One thing they did not touch, and I don't think the legislature will, is the 3% taxpayer or the industrial taxpayer. I think that their full tax burden will remain. And the beauty of what Bargersville is doing here is we do have some, I think, willing, at least participants to potentially sell their land or market their ground for industrial to the south. That is all in your district. So what a beautiful thing to have, $80 to $100 million assessed industrial facilities in an area that is not adding a lot of families. Although I know you will need families, I get it, into the future, but those 3% taxpayers are paying their full burden and helping to fund the school system. We can't do that without this water and sewer infrastructure. But once it's in play and once we begin the process to strategically plan the area, it is completely, I think there's no downside from the perspective of revenue production for the Franklin school system as we head south. So that's just something to note when we're talking about return on investment and partnership from a long-term financing perspective.
One more item from my standpoint.
So you don't anticipate creating TIF districts then when you go south?
Well, yes, but
You're going to allow us to get all the 3% revenue from these industrial developments?
there will probably be a certain aspect of having to use that tool to build infrastructure. Do we have to use 100% of it? No, I've always believed that the policy should be that 80 is the break or the mark. Can we set policies, especially when you're dealing with stuff with investments that are that large on a smaller footprint? Do you need to use 80% TIF? No. So what we do is we get with all of you and we start creating policy with the council that says, listen, we're going to create this district, but we're only going to capture 50%. The other 50% is going to flow to the taxing units. So therefore it's not caught up for 25 years and you don't see that advantage. That's the beauty of a more industrial area is you don't necessarily sometimes have to use that. Now, all the industrial developers right now are, if you're listening, they don't necessarily like what I have to say, but it can be done, and it has been done across the state to create that policy that uses only thing we need to use is to build the infrastructure they need to build their infrastructure and that everybody else can use. So yes, I'll tell you that we're not going to say no to tipping, but yes, we can say no to, just take 100% for 20 years. Absolutely.
I know your legal counsel, so it concerns me.
You should be concerned.
Dr. Glendenning, I apologize. Can I put you on the spot? Can you kind of talk about capacity at Union and the number of students and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So, over the last several years, we've had a conversation about Union Elementary. Right now, the septic system allows 220 bodies. Doesn't matter what size or whatever. So 220 is the capacity for sewer or the septic system. Right now, we're sitting at about 157 kids, I think, if I remember right, on our thing. But we're seeing growth. Right now, it's more in Franklin because there's not a lot of new homes out there yet. But that's where we are. If you go all the way back to, and Becky represents Union Township, all the way back to the 90s, they had a conversation about Union Elementary. What's going to happen to Union Elementary? And that's continued. So that's where we're at. We've done a couple different feasibility studies since that 1998 one that kind of said the same thing. But since there's no growth for kids there, we've not done anything. We're able to fill in where the sewer septic works.
Yeah.
But that's what the future holds. It won't hold it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just wanna
Well,
touch on
the first home in Bellingham will be built probably by March, and they're all going there. So here we go.
Well, I think that's, not that you're gonna encompass the entire area right out the gate, but water has always been the biggest reason that we don't see much development in Union Township, right? I mean, it's kind of an oasis out there, or desert oasis. I should say. Is this, I guess this is more of a town problem, I guess, but just out of curiosity, does this 1 inch, 1.5 inch and 2 inch get you the flow you're gonna need if you do develop all this as industrial?
So the 2 inch, I assume about 600 students at Union Elementary for future. So the 2 inch does, but what I need to sit down with Kevin is how much other residential development is going to go in there.
Gotcha.
So
Plus all this acreage that's
Yeah.
possibly gonna be.
So this is sized for kind of what's there with a little bit for future. And that's something that Kevin and I need to sit down and discuss and say, okay, what are we thinking? What's going to go out there? The industrial area is kind of, it's already got a little bit of infrastructure in place with 2 cent road, lift station and all that stuff. So that's kind of separate. That's closer to the town.
To the town.
Yeah. But we do really need to take kind of a good look and say, okay, how many homes do you expect to really develop out here?
Yeah.
A lot of that's farmland, and it's farmland that's been in people's families for a long time.
Right. When is your timeline, do you think, on the fire station?
If I have my way, we'll break ground at 26, with it being done by 27. So that's what I'm saying. We're ahead of everybody else. We're ahead of the growth. We're ahead of, everything coming right now. So obviously, it makes sense for us to be able to look at this and, partner for the future and see how it all pans out. Like Kevin said, ultimately my goal is to work a deal that, we get reimbursed, what we put in and figure out, sort of reimbursement deals based off the growth in the future as well. Just to be on the front end of it.
Sure. And what year did you graduate?
96.
That's right.
And I went to
High school.
Union Elementary as well. And most of my family graduated from Union High School. So if you go down and all the pictures, most of my family's in the pictures too. So awesome. Yeah, went to school with Benji, obviously. Played basketball here back in the day. Yeah.
Well,
I
you
didn't
still
play as
playing,
much as
Ben?
Benji did. Yeah. I was on the team, let's put it that way.
I watched my 2
That's right. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Us and Randy.
I think next steps is to begin the process to put the financial models together. Merit law, reimbursement agreements, anticipation of that 3% growth by the town, anticipation of single-family homes or multifamily. There's also a section there for multifamily, and we just need to put numbers in. Catch up. We either need to throw stop sticks out for him or catch up.
It's gonna have to be catch
I don't think you're gonna slow
There's no
down much.
David, do you see any, if we were to create something for payback for all 3 governments?
I don't see any reason why not, just be interlocal, from speaking from your guys' side, when we're in that hat, no issue. Yeah, I think, letting Roger defer his input from the school side, but representing you guys, I don't see any issue.
History would indicate we would do that because the Commerce Road to the high school, that's what we did. We actually put the water in there, and then when Meyer came in, and so as we were able to recoup some of that back. But Roger did set that up for us, so that would be a continued conversation with him.
Template already that we can look off of.
Yes. Plagiarize any chance you get, right?
Sorry.
Yeah, we'll send him the agreement. Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, any other questions while we're here today on anything that's coming and what the future looks like? Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity.
Eric, I only have one other thing, and this,
Yeah.
cart ahead of the horse, but we are discussing what our future looks like around more of the law enforcement side of things.
Yeah.
I know you guys all, you White River and Center Grove kind of all partnered, I think, on your joint
Absolutely.
center up there.
Yep.
In a much smaller world.
Yep.
Could there be a room that might exist for Franklin schools from a safety perspective in your
Absolutely.
fire department?
Yeah, if we can talk on that on the front side. Yeah, I
Sure.
think we're still in the design phase. So right now, like I said, my goal is to have designs built by the end of the year and then
Okay.
go to bid. So, yeah, and we've got builders all over the state, everywhere chasing us down right now.
Sure.
With this many projects that are going on. So
Right.
my goal is just to get them all into a frenzy and to get us the best price that we can get.
Yeah.
As we go to bid. So, the more that I can put in there, the more that we can partner together, I think it makes total sense. I told Dwayne Burgess the same thing and Andy Fisher. I said, if we get an office there where we can all, have a place
Yeah.
where you guys can be at, then that makes total sense. So
Okay.
they're on board, and I'm not gonna ask you for money. I think we just, look for a way to
Sure.
put an office in there, so
Okay.
everybody can be a part of it. I think it makes perfect sense. So Whiteland's kind of doing the same thing, at the schools and, are interested in looking at that model. So I think that's the way it works. So I'm a huge fan of everybody partnering together, combining resources and saving money for everybody.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we go, I think our council would like to hold a joint meeting with you all. Our growth is now heading south. So as it does that, we know that we need to strengthen this partnership. And they've asked that a couple of times to start the strategic. So just keep that in mind. I think they'll reach out, our council leadership especially. I told them, I came from a community where I was town manager. It was very similar, 2 school systems. Eventually, the 1 school system that didn't have a lot of growth suddenly had the most growth. And it was good to keep that partnership alive. So I think we need to do the same thing. We'll be reaching out.
We would welcome that. We've been doing that here in the city for 17 years. We would welcome the same extended conversation at city council, town council at Parkersville as we talk about things. So that'd be great.
I kind of shared a little bit, but could you give like some updates on development that's going on 135, also just kind of right there north that may impact us, the Morris Farm?
Yeah, so
Where that
I mean,
stands, because some of that is in our school.
the Morris development does annex ground that brings homes into the school system that cannot have children. So they're 55 and older, which I can't believe I'm eligible. Anyway, and very high assessed. So that development would bring that to the school. And I think what will happen is that will create the flow south of 135 and 144, more 3% commercial retail office type opportunity. Potentially some more neighborhoods, especially the east of 135. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen very rapidly. We're going to have to be well prepared. We need his speed, I guess. So,
Yeah.
That's good. We appreciate you being your friends to the east, I think, as you called us on your podcast.
I did. Friends to the east. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it very much.
Coming in. All right, thank you.
Okay, it looks like that's everything that we have on our agenda. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.